Welcome, Gemini, to your 2024 yearly reading. So what I have in front of you are 12 cards, one card for each month, and this is going to give you an idea of what you're going to be dealing with throughout the year for each month. So for January, you have the Two of Wands in reverse. It's hard to read that in reverse. You have the Knight of Wands for February in reverse. For March, you have the Chariot. April, you have the Seven of Pentacles. May, you have the Four of Swords. June, you have the Queen of Swords. In July, you have the Five of Wands in reverse. In August, you have the Knight of Cups. September, you have the King of Swords. October, you have the Seven of Wands. November, you have the Page of Swords in reverse. And finally in December, you have the Three of Cups in reverse. Excuse me. So let's begin with January. And Gemini, you have the Two of Wands. Now I'm wondering if it's January, the beginning of the year. I'm wondering if, you're sort of been thinking, maybe planning, that let's look at this individual first of all. He looks like a rich man and, standing on his rampart, his fortress, right? He's looking out, he has his little world in his hand, and he's looking out, and he's thinking that there's a bigger world out there for himself. Something out there for himself, And interesting that this particular wand right here is fastened somehow, like it looks, to the side here. So it's not even available. And I'm just wondering if there's a part of you, because it's in reverse here, but is there a part of you that has sort of got the nudge, or that is thinking about, considering, looking out at their own, thinking their own world is, small, and there's something else out there that maybe you would like to do? And, this is what this creative bug is about, right? And for me, creativity can mean, getting that nudge to want to do something, and that means doing something different than what you normally do. And so I'm wondering if that's going on with you, but it is, a bit blocked, and there is a resistance to really looking at that, because sometimes when we get these creative nudges, these urges, these feelings in our head that, maybe I want to do something, whether it could be anything, like, something to do with your job, or something to do with a relationship, or just a change that you want to make. And sometimes when we get that, we kind of push it away and block it, and and repress it. And it looks like that's what's happening for you in January. And the Knight of Wands, it's interesting that this has come up right after it, because my knights in my deck are freedom fighters. And I call them freedom fighters because they are that adolescent part of us that want freedom, and they're going to fight for it, from anything that's controlling them, anything or anyone that, think of adolescents that want that freedom to be themselves. And so this is the fiery, creative, running towards a purpose, wanting to live this purposeful life and wanting to be free to do that. And again, this has come in reverse. So whenever a freedom fighter, like a knight is blocked. And for me, that means that there's going to be some anger showing up for you, or there's going to be some depression. That whole idea of, feeling hopeless. Feeling hopeless that, this is what I want for myself, but for some reason I can't do it. And this is what's happening. But underneath all of this, there's this real fight from that adolescent part of you that wants to do it, that wants to go out and make this change in your life, whatever your change may be. And then the third card that comes out for you in March is the Chariot. And the Chariot talks often about movement, right? But if you look closely at this card, there is no movement. These sphinxes aren't moving. This particular driver here has no reins to control these sphinxes. And he's actually becoming part of his cement chariot here. And almost like he's becoming part of the stone city back here. And so it's like he's, anything that turns to stone is doesn't move. And the Chariot talks really about, you can create movement in your life by using your willpower alone, but that'll only get you so much in life. And there comes a point in our life where we need a bigger force that's going to help us to get where we need to go. And it looks like you're needing that. From what I see in January and February, you're really needing something, a bigger force to help you, for you to rely on, to just help you get out of the blocks, right? And this Chariot says, well, you can't do this just on willpower alone. There's a bigger force that you need, right? There's a bigger force that you need. And I'm just looking right here, and she is coming up. So we're going to talk about that, and you're going to meet the bigger force. Right? She's coming in June here. So we'll talk about this force that, this other thing that you can get connected to help you find out, what it is you want to do and to help you get going. Because willpower alone to get things moving sometimes doesn't always work, right? We can try as hard as we can, but to get those sphinxes to move sometimes, it's really hard. April comes, and you've dedicated a lot of time and you've put a lot of effort into all of these hoeing of the pentacles. Pentacles talk about our material stuff. And because this is what he has piled up here, a bunch of stuff. And it talks about our job and our health and, our workplace. And so, and our self-worth. And so this particular individual has hoed all of these pentacles, he's collected them all, he's piled them all up, he's all done. And it's taken him so much time, so much energy, and he's looking at the pile now and, he's not happy. He's looking at it and he's going like, is this it? So I find you arriving at, this is in April, where you're at a period of your life where you're going, is this it? And that's kind of like what's going on in January here, where you're looking at your small little world in front of you and going, is this it? So there's something out there for you, and you're wanting to get to it, but you're just not quite there, knowing exactly what it is you want to do. Maybe you do, but maybe you just need a bit of a push, or you need a bit of a direction, because the willpower isn't working. You can try to manifest it, like people say, but that's not what's going to bring it out about. So let's see what else this reading is going to bring up here for you. So this is where you start to realize, there's got to be more. There's got to be, is this everything here? There's got to be something else out there for you. So this card comes in. This is the Four of Swords. And this is May. So May comes in, and month of May says, Gemini, you're going to have to, in order to figure out a lot of your, what it is you need to do or want to do or how to get to it, is you're going to have to get still. You're going to have to get quiet. And sometimes that means you might have to isolate a bit. And I mean, it can if you really need to heal, but it means, sometimes just pulling back from social interactions with people and just getting quiet, more quiet with yourself, spending time with you. That person that a lot of people avoid, it's you. Not you, but you know what I mean? Like, with yourself. And this is what this is saying. May is the month where I'm going to spend more time with me because I want to get in touch with me and find out what I'm all about. And interestingly enough, in June, right, the last card of the half of the year, first half, we have the Queen of Swords, and we talked about earlier about, what else can we do for our willpower, and what else can we use here? Well, we meet the Queen, and we have one Queen here and two Queen Kings over here. Okay, no, that's the Knight. Okay, so we meet the Queen here, and the Queen is the feminine part of us. We have two parts. We have a masculine part and a feminine part, and it has nothing to do with our gender. And everybody has it. Every single person on this planet has two parts. And this is the feminine part of you. And this Queen is coming because you're being asked to take a look at what this Queen of Swords is saying. The Queen of Swords is all about authenticity. And she's all about, getting rid of all those masks and becoming who she really is and really cutting through the bullshit with her sword and get to her truth, the truth of the matter, right? Because she's all about, getting into her body, getting in touch with who she is. And you're going to experience this when you take that time to yourself, and you're going to find out some things about yourself that, you probably didn't know. And this is what this is all about here, is getting in touch with your feminine aspect. So let's see what you have for the last 6 months of 2024. It starts off with the five of wands, and fives are all about conflict and change. So in July, conflict brings about change always. And so this 5 in the upright position is what I call the ego, the battle of the egos here. And that's where sometimes when we start to do this introspection, we start to look at ourselves. And, that's what the Queen of Swords is asking you to do. That's what the timeout, the 4 of Swords, is asking you to do. And once we start to do that, we start to really get in touch with a lot of our emotions and a lot of the things that we feel about ourselves, and so this ego card, this whole self-worth stuff tends to come up because we start to compare ourselves to others. And that's something that can really bring us down again, is when we really start to get into that comparing game. And this came in reverse. So the fact that it came in reverse, there's a real resistance here, or a block for you to see that, maybe you have a tendency to do that, where you compare yourself to other people, right? And because it's in reverse, it's the tarot is really wanting to point this out, that, when we're on this journey, one of the hardest things to do is to make this journey all about you and only you. And there are times when it really becomes lonely sometimes, and we really tend to, look at other people, look what they're doing, and look at them, and they're having fun, they're doing it, because sometimes when we decide to get on this journey and do a lot of our own healing, it doesn't seem like we're having a lot of fun. But the ego can really do this, and the ego can really trip you up and start to get you to compare yourself to other people. So be very careful with that in July, and realize that this is your journey. It's not anybody else's journey. Don't compare yourself to anybody else and how healed anybody else is or not healed. It's just your journey, you against you. And in August, you get the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is another knight, and it's really interesting because it came right after the Knight of Wands here that was in reverse. So again, this is the freedom fighter. This particular knight wants to be free to offer his cup. So this particular this particular knight wants the freedom and the power to be able to go for his desires and go for his dreams and walk towards them, and not have anybody stop him or her, and doesn't want anybody to get in their way. And they want the freedom and they want the power to be able to do that, to walk towards their desires, because that's what the cups are. They're about emotions, their desires, and their dreams. In September, you get the King of Swords. And so very interesting, because you got the Queen of Swords in June, and now the King is coming through. So this is the masculine part of you, which is the swords, right? And again, this masculine part of you is very much about dropping the masks. And, sometimes our ego can come out and we can get right back into our mind again, because to me, the masculine, the king, represents our ego. In a really grounded king, a really grounded part of ourself, masculine part of ourself, would cut through all the bullshit and would know that any mental activities that come our way, for example, I'm not good enough, and comparing yourself to other people, he would know that, well, that's just my mind telling me that. That's just a message that I got from, growing up from people. And that's just a belief system I have. That's just my conditioning or my patterns. And so this particular knight, or this particular king right here, would be very much, because he's grounded and upright, he would know that these messages that are coming in his head, are not his, right? So be very aware of these messages that your ego is going to try to tell you about, your self-worth and about who you are, because that sword is the sword of truth and the sword of authenticity. And this is where you're going to have to really cut through the bullshit. And the tarot is saying, it's time to cut through all the bullshit and find out who you really are, because you have a tendency to compare yourself to other people, right? And there's this part of you that really wants to find out who they are. And so you have the King and the Queen of Swords. It's saying it's time to get to your real you, Gemini, and cut through the bullshit of what other people told you were and you are. In October, I like this card. This is probably one of my the favorite cards in the deck, because it sort of reminds me of myself and my journey. And you get to, when you start on this healing journey, or if you've been on it for a while, and maybe you've experienced this before, you're going to find where, and here's this individual with this wand, and it looks like he's fighting. He's on his own here, and look how many wands he has below him that he's trying to, get him to just back off, like literally back off. He's a real nonconformist, right? He does not want to follow the crowd. He has on two different shoes. He has a shoe and a boot on. He doesn't want to follow the crowd. He wants to do his own thing. But the problem is, he has these people down here, and they're saying, they're yelling at him. Some of them are jealous, and some of them are totally invalidating. They're not supporting him, and they just want him to come back down and be one of them. And he's all alone on this journey. And this card comes in as a 7. This is sevens for me are real self-awareness cards, where it's coming in and it's saying, this is a time for you to become very self-aware. There are going to be people around you when you're on this journey, when you decide that, it's time for me to heal. It's time for me to look at some of my shit, really, really look at it here and figure out who I am. And when you start to do that, People are good. People come out of the woodwork and go like, whoa, 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 look at her, look at him, you know. And this is you right here on this lonely journey. It can be really, 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 really lonely, this journey. Very lonely. And especially when you don't have people that don't support you. And so this is also for me a boundary card. It's like saying, you know what? Maybe you're going to have to set some boundaries with people. Maybe some people are going to have to go, leave your life. But this is going to be a tough month for you where you're standing your ground and you're saying, whatever it is, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing it for me. And I don't care about what other people are saying. I'm not comparing myself to people. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And you might not get the support or the validation, unfortunately. And November comes and we get the Page of Swords again. So you have a lot of mental energy going on. You have the 4, the Queen, the King, and now you're getting the Page. So that tells me that there's a lot of like in your head kind of not grounding in your body, but you're living a lot in your head. And when we get spinning in our head with all these ideas and thoughts, and really can take us down. The Page of Swords is the very young inner child part of us. All my pages are the inner children for me. And this is the Page of Swords. And as a child, I want you to remember that you were very authentic. You were you were real. You didn't know any different, right? And so this particular child, this inner child here is blocked. There's a part of you, there's an inner child here that I think wants to get in contact with you. And you do that through journaling. You can talk to your inner children. Everybody has parts, everybody has inner children. And there's a younger part of you that wants you to get in touch with them. And like I said, you can do that for journaling. When you get still, sometimes you can hear certain things, or that's when you get in contact with this inner children and who wants to be authentic, wants to be real. And maybe they have something to say about that, about sometimes these masks that we put on. Because when we were children and we were told not to be this way or not to be that way, and then we put on a mask and we pretended, okay, I can't be this person, so I guess I got to be this other person, and I'll wear that mask all my life. But this is a call from your inner child saying, what is it that is stopping you from being authentic and being you? And maybe one of your inner children has something to tell you about when you were younger and you weren't allowed to be you. Maybe there's something there. And the last card in December is the 3 of Cups. And for me, the 3 of Cups is a real creative card. It's a celebration card. You have 3 feminine individuals. And this is, I think it's the celebrating the feminine part of us, the creativity, and that needs to be celebrated. But I also feel like, because the cups are all about emotions and desires and dreams, I feel like this card represents a celebration and looking back at how far you've come. How far have you come? And sometimes we have a hard time doing that because we don't think we've come far on our journey. And here you have come very far. And I can see that you're going to be doing a lot of work. And so December is a time to, just celebrate for you, for being you. And sometimes we don't do that. We don't celebrate ourselves enough. And I see that because it's in reverse here. So there's going to be a resistance to doing that. So I hope this gave you a little, idea of what's coming ahead of you in 2024. I can see that, it's really a time where it's asking you to turn inwards and to take some time out. I can see that there's movement that wants to happen for sure in your life. And only you know what that means, the movement that you need, your next step that you need to take. And you're going to do that by cutting through the bullshit. So that means you're going to do that by grounding into your body, because I'm seeing a lot of swords, and that means, you're still living a bit up in your head, especially with The wands that have come out where you're comparing yourself, and sorry, a lot of swords have come out. You got a few swords on the table. So yeah, other than that, I think it's a really good year for you. Like it's a good year of growth and of working towards bringing something out and celebrating you. So good luck, Gemini, and I'll talk soon. Bye bye.